That's good.
on. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. I am Aldrima Harper, and I'm the host of the Organizedpreneur podcast and the creator of the Declutter with Dream Challenge. And that is where I help female entrepreneurs to fulfill their dream of clarity, hope, peace, and sustainability. And I'm super, super excited today because I have my friend Rebecca here with me today, and I'm thrilled to have her here with me. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what she does. We're going to be talking a little bit about organizing and all of that wonderful stuff for the next few minutes. And before we do that, I'm going to share a little bit of her bio because she says she's retired. But I don't know about that retirement thing. Kind of like myself, I say I'm semi-retired, but I'm still working. I don't think I'll ever retire. I love what I do, and but let me go ahead and read a little bit about her. And so Rebecca lives in Calgary, Canada. She's worked as a programmer and systems analyst and then returned to academia to complete her Ph.D. in psychology. Yes. Rebecca worked as a research associate with the medical school at the University, of Calgary, and is still an adjunct professor with 2 departments at the university. And here's the thing, she says, although she retired last year, she's still busy wrapping up her research projects and writing academic articles and supervising and mentoring some students, 5 students. And so she has set up, and I don't know if it's a relaunch or if you're launching. You'll have time to talk a little bit about that, but she's the owner of Lumina Writing Services, where she helps her clients improve their written and verbal communication. And she's also available to edit and proofread reports and manuscripts and presentations and other types of documents. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me today, and welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here today. So
Thank you
you
very much.
say you are, yeah. So you say you are retired. So I get it. I get it. We love what we do. And so you've been
That's the
doing
thing.
this like most of your life, not most of your life, but early on. So this has been the bulk of your career in this type of uh industry, writing and things like that. Is that what you've been
Well,
doing all most of your life?
I've I've always enjoyed writing, and I would say writing is probably one of my strengths. So in a way, I think I've been doing this my whole life because even as a school child, I would I would edit my friends' papers, and I always had a little red pen that I would go, no, you spelled that wrong. It's like, no, if you just change the. So I think I've everything has led up to this moment where
Yeah.
I'm now going to actually do this for money, you know, do, but do something that I enjoy doing anyway, and just make this into more of a career, a second career, or a third career, really.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not looking to become fabulously wealthy or anything with this. So this is just something that I want to keep my skills going, keep keep my mind active, and I just don't want to be bored in
Right.
retirement. So far, that's not looking like that will ever be the case.
Because I'll tell you, what you bring to the marketplace is so needed right now. I mean, I think it's very, very timely for you to enter what I call our second phase in life, and you're entering the market it's very timely because this is something that people really, really need. I can't tell you, and I'm sure with your sharp eye for editing and proofreading and things like that, whenever you look on social media or you see documents or websites or whatever, you're probably like cringing, like, oh my gosh, right? Do you ever, does that ever happen?
Oh, not just on social media, but I subscribe to the Washington Post, and I'm horrified sometimes at the writing, and it's like, how did this get past you?
Wow.
Don't you have a staff?
Right.
Very, very bad writing on occasion. Not everybody, not all the time, but I'm sensitive to seeing mistakes. They just kind of pop out for me. So when I see bad writing, I think to myself, I, if I had the chance, I would have loved to edit
Yes.
before published
Yeah.
before you submit it.
So what type of clients do you work with, Rebecca? What kind of,
Well, I'm
go ahead.
I'm starting right now,
Okay.
but so far it's been people who are academics
Okay.
because I've found through my career that quite often really brilliant people, their ideas don't get wide recognition because they don't know how to say it properly.
Mm.
They often are too technical. They use too much jargon. They're just too complicated because it's all there in their heads. But to put it out onto paper or to actually present it is a real challenge. And so
Yeah.
I help people with their articles or with their theses, master's students, PhD students, to actually put it into ways that other people can understand. And that's why
Yeah.
I called my company Lumina, because it's gonna, make things clearer, make it pop so that people go, oh, so that's what they're talking about. And it's not that difficult. It's just rearranging things, maybe taking some of the jargon out, not having these huge complex sentences, breaking sentences up into pieces so people can understand what is actually being said, and it just reads better, it just is able to be communicated better, and that to me is my real passion for this work, is to make people's writing clearer so that other people can understand some really great ideas and have that out.
Yeah, yeah. And I love the fact that because I didn't think about it when I was saying the name of your business, but Lumina, does that come from the word like luminate? I mean, is that
Yes,
the essence of it? So,
yes,
kind of really
yes, it's
bringing,
yeah, light.
yeah, light.
It's about,
Yes.
and
Wow.
and also as a Christian, and I know you are as well,
Yes,
it's light is very important
absolutely.
to us, and I wanted to incorporate that as part of my company name as well, to just say I want to be a light in a very,
Yeah.
very small way in the world.
Yeah, yeah. So you said that you just recently launching the business, right? Yeah. So how's that going? How's that going so far?
Well, I'm still in the process because I have been busy as this retirement stuff is
Yeah.
still, there's still quite a bit from my past career. So I'm just creating a website, and I've just got all of the paperwork. So I'm now on Upwork, so people can find me on Upwork and give contracts to me. Once my website is done, I'm going to build my own website
Yeah.
actually, because that's eventually I will do for other people. I think
Okay.
that will be a service that I will offer, because I do have a computer science background as well.
Got
So,
it.
that is something I can actually create websites and host websites for other people.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still a work in progress, but I do hope to be really, up and running within the next month.
Got it. Okay. That's exciting. That's exciting.
Hmm.
So, is there a favorite type of writing or documents that you like to do? In other words, do you prefer, editing books versus and I know it's an academic, but is there a certain type of academia project that you like to work on that just really gets your boat floating?
Well, I think right now, because this is the environment that I've just recently come out of, or continuing to be in,
Mhm.
is articles to be published. Because there are a lot of very, very talented researchers and academics who just can't get published because they just don't write well enough to compete when they submit articles for publication. People look and say, I don't know if they really know what they're talking about, or I don't know what they're talking about. So sorry. I would like to help people, especially people maybe whose first language is not English.
Got
They
it.
are writing in English, but they don't quite have the flow of uh, you know, what a native English speaker would understand as being, this is a well-written paper. And I can take other people's work and just revise it in small ways. So it's still their work. I'm not actually changing anything, but I'm
Hmm.
just improving it. I'm making it clearer. I'm making it better so that they will be more competitive. But eventually I do want to edit books and, all sorts of other things, but that's down the line. Right now I'm going to
Yeah.
stick with what I know and
Yeah.
gradually move into other things like website design or document design, presentations, all of these things I have, a little bit of knowledge about, but not much experience. And eventually I'll get that experience.
Yeah. Wow. I've always admired people who write well. Um, I just think that is such a very powerful um skill and talent, that you guys possess. My husband is a writer, and but not he's not a he writes scripts, and so that is, kind of a different, genre as opposed to, academia. But I've just always admired people who are able to write, and editing is like a whole nother that's like a whole nother level, of being able to look at people's work, and help their words to be illuminated, on paper. Do you find that because I heard somebody say that when you're writing, you think like a PhD, but communicate it to as though it was a third grader or a fifth grader. Because sometimes, and I'm not that's not the exact quote, but that's the essence of what he was saying, was that it should be simple enough to where a third grader could actually read it and comprehend it. But the person that's writing, you still want to make sure that you're bringing forth the concepts, and whatever it is you're wanting the reader to comprehend. But I know sometimes we think that, a lot of words, we have to make it, a lot of words on the paper, and all of this kind of stuff. Sometimes people are trying to impress people, with their words and things like that. And so what do you think about that way of thinking, thinking from a high level PhD standpoint, but yet being able to communicate it so that a third grader could comprehend it? What do you think
Well,
about that?
I think it depends on your audience. I think if you are a PhD writing for other PhDs, you probably will stay at a high level. However, if you are a PhD who is, trying to get their ideas out to the general public, say in terms of some health benefits that they want people to know, writing as a PhD I can guarantee that nobody will take your advice, no matter how good it is, because they don't understand you.
Yes.
So definitely you have to look at your audience
Yeah.
and look at, are you trying to make them change their behavior? Are you trying to entertain them? So it's the motive too. Like, what do you want your audience to do? What do you want them to come out of this encounter with your words in some way? So there are different factors that you have to consider, but definitely if you are writing for the general public, you do have to think about what they need,
Mm-hmm.
and write for what your audience needs, and not, uh, to impress people, for example. And this is a real problem that people with post-secondary education have. I've often told my students, stop trying to use the big words because if you don't really know what they mean, then
Yeah.
don't use. And trying to force all of these big words and complex sentences, it does not make you sound smarter. It actually detracts from your message. Say it
Mm.
simply, use the number of words that need to be used, and the rest can go.
Yes, yes, yes. So I know that you are mentoring some students. So what do what does that look like? Is it to just tell me about that? That's my question. Tell me about that.
Okay, so I have some undergraduate students and I have some master's students as well. Obviously, it's slightly different. So
Yeah.
but in all cases, I give them some one-to-one support. If they have submitted a paper, or they're not happy with their work, they're
Mm,
frustrated, then I will just, kind of support them and say, look, everybody goes through this. We didn't all start out as PhDs. This is a process, but you learn from the process. And sometimes that means that things come back. You didn't get accepted, or you didn't get the scholarship. Well, what can you learn from that? So there's a lot of
mm,
learning and support to help them with that. I edit their papers as
mm-hmm.
well, just to make sure. And I show them exactly what I'm looking for. What would an editor at a journal be looking
Yeah.
for? What are the pitfalls? How do you make this better? And then they can, take those pieces of advice and write, and then I'll look it over and say, that was great. You've learned exactly what I had suggested, and then they can move on from there. I don't ever want to tell them this is the only way to do this, because there are
Yeah.
multiple ways. Everybody has their own style of writing. You need to honor that, so it is their words, but just give them the hints and the tips and the support so that they can feel comfortable and
Mhm.
confident in going forward and writing
Yeah.
in their own style.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I so love that. So I want to switch a little bit over to the decluttering challenge, because you went through the decluttering challenge. I'm trying to say that not too quickly because it's not coming out. But so you recently, went through the decluttering challenge. And so what would you say? Well, let me ask you this. Why did you think that this was something important for you to do, and why did you join the challenge?
Okay. Um, well, it's important to me because I know, Aldrina, you said you were recovering pack rat, and
Mm-hmm.
I would put myself in that boat as well, because I've had issues for a long time with just having too much stuff, too
Mm-hmm.
much out, too much everywhere, piles and stuff. And the last decluttering challenge that I did with you was focusing more on paperwork. And that is definitely a challenge for me because as an academic, I have forests full of paper. I feel so guilty sometimes because of all the trees that have been cut down for me. And it was, I definitely think that going through these decluttering challenges is helpful because you don't always know. You think you're the only one in this boat. You think that you are the only one who has a messy house or who has piles of paper everywhere. Well, we're not. And I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of people out there all thinking to themselves, oh, I'm such a bad person because I can't invite anyone over. My house is a mess. I have papers everywhere. Or you feel overwhelmed that how will I do this? And I think joining something like your 5-day challenge is really helpful for people because you realize that you are not the only one. And you may not even be the worst one. There are people with very, very, it looks terrible when you see pictures and it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not that bad. But it's still good to have, a community of people who are in the same boat. And so you can feel supported that when they say, my office, I have trouble even closing the door in that office, go, yes, that's me as well. I also have trouble. Or if they say, oh, my desk is piled high with a foot of papers, like, well, mine is a foot and maybe a couple of inches more than that. So it's great to have that community of support. And I really enjoyed, Eldrima, your framework, your APAC framework for going through these things, and you have a really easy and just a very gentle way of going through this because I tend to be one of those people who go, ooh, I must try this. And it's like, pull out your entire closet and do it all at one time. It's like, no, I can't. I don't have the time. I don't have the motivation. And I know I will fail at that. But the way that you have laid out your framework, it's very gentle, very easy, very non-judgmental. You can do it a little bit at a time. And I really appreciated having that. And I've tried to stick with that and keep consistently working through the framework. And it's really paid off. I'm much more comfortable. If somebody says, I'm half an hour away, can I drop in and see you? Before it was like, no, you can't possibly. I'll meet you at the coffee shop because I can't let you in my house. But now it's like, okay, give me 5 minutes. I'll just tidy up and it will not be perfect. I'm not looking for perfect, but they will be able to come in and not break their leg tripping on something. In the hall.
I'm so glad you said that because I have been, as you know, and I say it all the time during the challenges that I'm very intentional about the type of non-judgmental environment that I want to create, and that people, there is a lot of shame and a lot of guilt around, clutter. And so, people are, they don't want to, turn their cameras on, or they want to, blur the background, or, put the video image of the background. And to your point, not have any visitors or, things like that. There's a lot of that around clutter. And so I really strive to make sure that people, are okay, because it's a journey. Like I always say, it's a journey, but it's something that you have to be consistent at, and there has to be some type of framework. You don't have to go step by step exactly, as I presented, there may be some areas that you may think, well, you know what, I can kind of tweak this here, but you're still going by the overall framework of how to get it done. And that's why, I wanted to have like a simple framework. And I like for people to start small,
Hmm.
and that's why that's one of the things that really, really trips people up when it comes to getting organized and things like that. They want to tackle the whole thing, like you were saying, and you're just going to set yourself up for defeat. You just for failure if you try to approach it that way. And I recently, you were saying about the recovering pack rat. So I recently changed the word because I felt like recovering felt I felt like I'm still trying to recover, right? But the I changed it to redeemed, to redeem pack rat. Oh, redeem organized pack rat, which means, which brings about a little bit different, flavor,
It
so
does.
so I don't know. I just I so appreciate you, saying that though. So what did you find that works best when clearing clutter? And what did you find that doesn't work?
Hmm. Well, as you said, starting small is
Hmm.
really important, because I think um, we're often overambitious.
Yeah.
Uh, and to my mind, this is a marathon. It's not a
Yeah.
sprint marathon.
Yeah.
So you have to pace yourself, So,
Mhm.
and I think you mentioned, like starting small. So it could be two ways. You could either start small by space.
Mhm.
So a container, a drawer, a filing cabinet, something, manageable. And the other thing is time as well.
Yeah.
I live my life quite a lot with a timer.
Yeah.
So I will put 15 minutes on the timer, 20 minutes maybe. And, that's good enough. If
Yeah.
I do those 15, 20 minutes consistently,
Mhm.
then I'm going to see results.
Yeah.
Whereas if I try to do a 3 hour marathon session, I will be exhausted at that
Yeah.
time. And when you have that exhaustion, you don't feel like doing it again.
Right. That's true. That is very true.
So I find, it's like exercise. If you do it in small things through the day, then you're going to see results.
Yeah.
That's just given. So,
Yeah.
and you're not setting yourself up fairly because everybody should be able to find 10 to 15 minutes in their day to do
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
small.
Absolutely.
So I,
Absolutely.
I do find that bite-sized chunks is a very
Mhm.
important thing of the whole decluttering journey.
Yeah.
And I think being kind to yourself,
Yeah.
not, because that guilt and shame is
Mhm.
definitely there when you have a cluttered house, and
Mhm.
you need to reward yourself. And
Mhm.
I think you mentioned that too as part of your
Yeah.
framework. We need to be kind to ourselves and say,
Mhm.
okay, I didn't get as much done today, but
Right.
tomorrow I will. And look how far I've come
Mhm.
in this. When you see that clean desk or that sorted, organized file drawer, you
Yeah.
go, wow, yay me.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And
Yeah.
then, give yourself a treat. Give yourself, I make time for reading,
Yeah.
or, going for a walk, or doing something that I've been putting off because I just felt I didn't have the time. Well, make that time for yourself because
Yeah.
you are worth that time, and you've done something important. You've done something that was, of benefit to you. So give yourself that extra reward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much. I so appreciate you. And just for the listeners, reach out to Rebecca. Her information is going to be either below or above, or it's going to be, linked to the website and to the podcast when it airs. And so make sure that you reach out to her. And if you are interested in attending any of the Declutter with Dream challenges or workshops or anything like that, make sure you just go to declutterwithdream.com, and you'll find out, and you'll see where or and when, and you'll find out all the particulars about the next event. So Rebecca, thank you so much. I so appreciate you, and I just love you so much. And so I just think you're just amazing. And I just can't wait to see how you just illuminate everyone's world, with your skills and your talents and the things that God has called you to do, here. So I am so excited for you, and I just really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Oh, welcome, and thank you, Aldrina. You are doing fantastic work because this is a calling that you have accepted, and
Yeah.
I think that everybody, and that's the thing. You don't just have to do the 5-day challenge once. You can do it multiple times because every
Absolutely.
time you do it, you will get something else out of it.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
you have statistics and you have hints and tips that you are continuously updating. So
Yeah.
every time someone does it, they will get something different. And
Yeah.
also the support and that reinforcement
Yeah.
of good good practice, good habits. So
Yeah.
yeah, I strongly recommend that that people do
Mhm.
your challenge and reach out to you and accept your help.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate you. And so, with
Of
that
course.
said, everyone, make sure you reach out to Rebecca or go to declutterwithdream.com. She is also on LinkedIn and Upwork and all of that, but all of that information will be available to you if you want to reach out to me. I'm also on LinkedIn and all the social media platforms. And so, but definitely, she said it best. So, so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on the Organizedpreneur Podcast. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.